Thank you so much for sticking with Citizen TV. This is Daybreak. We're live from Nairobi, a conversation that we'll be having right now, the whole youth of the youth development. We want to take a look at how easy or how tough it is right now here in Nairobi to not only access but to create and retain jobs, both in the formal and in the private sector. I'll be sharing with you 3 different researches that have been conducted. I'll sort of try and get the important details out of it. But very quickly, as I earlier mentioned to you, 78% of Kenya's population, 78% of Kenya's population is below the age of 35. 19 years old is our median age here in Kenya. On top of that, those people who are most likely to face unemployment twice as more than perhaps any other age group are those between the ages of 18 and 25. The irony of that is that those are the people who have just cleared university. If you think this is a Kenyan problem, think twice again, because the unemployment rate in Africa is expected to exceed about 30% come by 2019. Whether it's a ticking bomb, an opportunity, it's something that people have continued to describe it as. Again, for those who are just joining us, let me introduce our guest this morning. Sitting closer to me on my left, I have Dr. Alex Awiti. He's the Vice Provost here at the Aga Khan University in Nairobi. It's good to have you with us, Dr. Awiti. You guys have a fantastic research. I can't wait for us to get details on that as well. Sitting next to Dr. Awiti is none other than Glory Mutungi. She is the chairperson of TVET. It's good to have you here as well. And sitting next to Glory is Charity Micheni. She is I want to say you studied education. I don't want to call you an unemployed graduate this morning, all right? And you look very lovely. And sitting next to her is John Mugo, a research scientist who, by the way, has overseen the 3 researches that I'm told, the 3 studies. So we'll get to hear from him as well. So let me begin just with the fact that, Charity, I want to probably hear your story, why you're seated on this table, why it's so tough for you at such a young age to get employed. First of all, tell us what it is that you study, then take me through your journey.
Okay, so my name is Charity Micheni, and I'm a living example of the 18 to 25 age
So you
group.
fall in that bracket?
Yeah, I'm actually there at the end. So I'm unemployed. So it's quite realistic. So I studied education at Kenyatta University, a course called Primary Teacher Education. So I did my diploma, I did my degree, as the process goes.
Right.
So knowing very well that I have done a really good course, that the qualifications I have as a teacher are really okay, they're up to par. But recently, when I went for the recruitment for the primary school teachers that was being held last month part 1, I was actually turned back, because they told me they don't have the grading system for someone who hasn't done a P1 course. So what actually hit me was that, okay, am I overqualified? So I was like, because the first thing they told me is you have to go back to school to do a P1, of which that's not realistic. You've done a degree, you've graduated, how can you start?
You've done a diploma and a degree.
Yeah, because you have to those are the steps. Yeah. Because it was quite something that made me feel really down, because going there, I actually thought that these qualifications are up to par.
How long ago did you graduate?
I graduated last year.
Last year. Yeah. Majority of your classmates, have they also found employment?
None of them have found employment. It's the same story. And KU, year in, year out, they're taking in more and more people to do the same course. But the TSC isn't recognizing us as yet. They're a bit rigid in trying to change and put us in the grading system of maybe someone who started with a diploma or a degree, of which we are out there, they know, we've written countless letters, but it's the same old story in Kenya. You complain, they tell you
nothing
that
happens.
Nothing happens.
Your parents, what were your parents saying?
Okay, my parents are still hopeful. They're like, don't worry, just continue being hopeful. Personally, I'm doing other things. I've done internships in other fields like programs. I'm an MC personally. So I'm quite versatile, because I venture into different fields. And KU, I did radio. So I'm quite all-rounded. So the thing that makes me a bit sad is that even after qualifying, if the institution knows that you won't get employed and you won't be recognized, why don't they stop it before your parents? I was a SSP, people self-sponsored student.
Yes.
So I paid my own dues like through it all. So they should tell us early enough to change their course. But it's quite disheartening because like I'm not the only one. I'm a representative of so many people who are still graduating. So yeah.
And you know, Charity is just an example of perhaps the other young mini Kenyans that we have who are still seeking employment. John Mugo, as a researcher, what Charity is saying to you guys is just numbers. But you look at it and it's an individual, it's a young person who all her life or all his life you've been told, go to school, graduate, get a good job. You've been painted for the perfect picture. And like she said, she went through all the steps, yet here she is seated just like her other classmates, unemployed. Just talk to me about how those same numbers are reflecting Charity's stories. And more specifically, let's use the Aga Khan study that was done.
Yeah, thanks, Zinzi. What Charity is presenting is actually a serious problem. And this is about alignment between training and what is in the job market. So the reason why Kenyatta University offers a course that they know is not demanded by the market, you'd wonder why, because Charity had other options to do. So we have that as one of the serious problems that is causing unemployment, that we have youth like now Charity who have certain skills, but those skills are not aligned to what the job market demands. The other problem, of course, is that jobs are not enough, because Charity is probably part of another 300,000 teachers who are trained and are floating out here. But because...
Is that 300,000, Mr. Mugo, just for this year alone?
No, it is accumulation of from around the mid-2000s. So we have not overtrained teachers, because we also have serious deficiency in our schools. I mean, many of our schools are understaffed, but because government doesn't have enough money, so Treasury cannot hire all the teachers that are required. That is why we are having this kind of a crisis. But now you wonder why we should not have decided maybe from 2012 to have the number of teachers that were being trained, and to train more, you know, people who are to work in other industries.
Right.
So we are lacking this market intelligence, and frustrating a lot of youth, because you'll also get other jobs where we have to import skills, because we don't have Kenyans who are qualified. So this alignment between training and the opportunities available in the labor market is a serious issue. And I hope we have so many government offices. I mean, we have a whole Ministry of Labor. We have a National Employment Authority. We have, you know, people in
Kenya
offices.
National Employment.
But youth cannot access information. Universities are not seeking this information to know what to train in. Of course, also, our economy is not producing enough jobs. So even when we look at our training, like now the people who have university degrees, who cannot get jobs because they have knowledge and don't have skills. So that also deficiency between just knowing and being able to do something is I think, the gap that TVET is coming into close.
Yeah, let me bring in, and we'll get to hear from Glory. But before that, let me bring in Dr. Awiti. Even as a scholar, Daktari, you hear people saying how education is the key to life. But in this day and age, is education the key to being employed, to being employable?
Well, I think just like everywhere else, you know, you need skills, you need technical capabilities and competences to basically fit in the workplace. And as John has said, the problem we face in our country is that you have an economy that is growing at about 6.5% on top-line GDP. But the rate of job growth is just 3%. That's a serious problem. And then most of the jobs are actually created in the informal sector. Last year, for instance, 86% of the jobs that were created in this country were created by Kenyans on their own wings, basically in the informal sector. Only 15% of the jobs, 14% of the jobs are created in the formal sector. And I think that's where the big problem is. And as John says, we have critical skill gaps in the country in terms of new capabilities that are needed. For instance, Charity's case is a very interesting case. We have the basic education curriculum framework that now requires that we retool, rescale our teachers to be able to teach that new curriculum. Not at P1 level, but to phase out P1 qualifications and have people with bachelor's degrees. Now we are sitting here with a live example of an individual who has done that, who's meeting these future aspirations of this ambitious curriculum, and she doesn't have a job.
Right.
So this is the disjunction. We have our ideals and our aspirations on one end, but the reality does not square with that. And so the question is, where does accountability lie? Is it with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Labor? Is it with universities? Because as universities, our job is not vocational. We're supposed to train people to think. We're not supposed to make them work ready, in a sense. But we give them the tools and the skills for them to fit in workplaces. You hear an example. She's good at radio. She's now doing an MCA. Those are the all-round skills that university produces. But in her case, she has a specific capability in terms of professional qualification, which is teaching. But the economy is not providing those jobs. For instance, over the last couple of years, we've not hired more than 5,000 teachers a year. You know, there's so many schools in Kenya that are insanely understaffed, where students go without teachers for days.
Right. You know, Dr. Awiti, you're saying that, and you know, I saw that the Daily Nation caught your attention. Magoha plans to spend 3 trillion on education alone in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
That's already our budget in a year.
Absolutely. So you have to starve for a year just to pay for education.
So where is this money going to? We already, because okay, according to this, it's going to go to schools and the enrollment of it, but it also should go into employing teachers.
It should go into training new teachers. It should go into repurposing our schools. For instance, we're getting into the digital age.
Yes.
The jobs of the future are going to be jobs that are digitally enabled. When are we going to start retooling our kids to be able to code, for instance? That coding now becomes a grade 1 competence. We're still stuck in this very old brick and mortar type of curriculum that is for the industrial age, and we're in the 4th industrial revolution. But
Dr. Awiti, here's the irony of that conversation. The fact that one of the biggest betting companies here in Kenya had to close, and you know, around 300 young people had to lose their jobs. In that department that was affected was social media. One of the new jobs that we've seen coming up in the past 10 years, courtesy of technology. So then again, even though technology, yes, will bring in a few other jobs that probably might not have ever seen, it's still not the answer to employment.
It's not the answer to employment, because let's face it. So right now, most of our jobs are in the informal sector. And they're in the very kind of labor-intensive sectors. Like, for instance, 90% of the jobs we have in the country are out of 15 sectors. And a lot of that is people doing stuff with their hands. These are jobs that would be easily automated. Now, what's going to happen if we don't create the requisite digital literacy that enables people to become digital workers?
Right.
So again, our education is not even pointing us in the future. It is entrenching us in the past.
All right. So, Glory, how do we begin to close the critical gap within our skills that Dr. Awiti and John Muga has very, very well painted for us? How do we begin to close that as the chair of TVET?
Thank you so much. Because I realized that all of us were talking about unemployment, which is true in this country. What is TVET doing about it? Currently, if you look at the students who are leaving Form 4, only less than 100 are joining the university. Where are the rest going to? And the TVET actually is the solution. Because what is TVET doing? It is providing skills and telling you, when you get out of these institutions, and they have risen up to 177 by public now, and there are so many private ones also out there, is that we are not training you to go and look for a job. We are training you to go and create a job. And you realize that the skills that you are going to get in TVET, either in electrical engineering, in hospitality, you can go out there, start your own job, and earn a living, and even employ others. Actually, we are training them entrepreneurship on top of the skills, so that they can even come up as a group and start something, because it is true. If you train going to look for a job in this country, it will be a long term.
So from where you sit, you believe TVET is the solution?
I believe TVET is the solution.
But nevertheless, Glory, even though I study, for example, electric engineering at a university or at TVET Institute, at the end of the day, we will graduate, we will find each other in the marketplace, there's still no jobs.
And that's what I'm saying. We are not going out there to look for a job. What is the work of an electrical engineer? It is to install systems in a house. There is a lot of construction going on in the country. Actually, he has already told us that a lot of jobs are in the informal sector. And what TVET is doing actually is working institutions with the small-scale enterprises. So that as they leave the institutions, they are going out there to start their own jobs in a small way. Actually, what I'm looking for is youth fund. How do they start their jobs? Because you can get out, like she's saying, but you don't have the money even to start a business.
You've talked about entrepreneurship, the fact that you're not just giving skills to these individuals, but you're also causing them to be more entrepreneur. But nevertheless, at the end of the day, not everyone can be a businessman or woman. And it can be taught. So still.
The thing is that we are saying that on top of the skills,
Yes.
which you can get a job
Yes.
if it is there.
Yes.
But if there's no job, you can start yours. And the government can help the young people to start the jobs.
Charity, do you feel as if the government is helping young people?
Not at all, because personally, like the way that it's trending on Twitter, I feel the government is not for the youth. And the way she's saying that for TV, like you gain skills so that you can put up your own job, currently the flow of money is really inadequate out there. Speaking from a point of view where I'm mingling with people, like friends, uncles, aunties, everyone is complaining that there's no, like money is not free flowing like it was years back.
Right.
So even telling someone, okay, you're finished campus, go set up a business. I know a lot of people have set up a business, even if it's a shop where you can go get manicures and pedicures. If I'm not employed, I don't have the money to go get a manicure and pedicure. Like, how will your business move? So it's something that should be in a way that I should be able to, okay, we should be employed, and people should also start businesses in a way that I'm working, I can go to your business and also help you grow your business.
Right.
But if you are not working, like 60% of people and 40% have businesses, who are going there?
Okay, so Mugo, as a research scientist on the ground, for the, let's take perhaps the past 10 years under President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime. Yes, he is a president with his vice president who, when they were coming into power, they really talked about young people, what they will do for them in terms of promises, creating employment and so forth, but things on the ground are different. I like what she's also, Charity has said, fine, so you want to set up a business, but the economy is just not allowing you to do so. It's the work of the government to create a conducive economy that allows Charity, even though she doesn't have a job, to start her own biashara, but that's not the case. Paint for me an image perhaps of how bad the economy is or where we are, to the point that we're seeing also the private sector having to close shop. We've seen firms from banks, betting companies, Cadbury. There's a point where they moved from Kenya back to Egypt. There's just a lot of within the private sector that is happening. You look at the Standard newspaper this morning, the fact that banks are having to bleed money within the NSC. Just paint for me an image of how tough it is right now in this economy to start a business.
Yeah, of course, it's very problematic when we tell youth to start businesses when we ourselves are employed.
The irony, yes.
Because you see, the ideal situation is that even if Charity wants to start a business, the ideal situation is now to link up with an entrepreneur who is experienced. She, teams up, accumulates her experience on how to run business, because all she has now is theory. And business is not done based on theory. And then also the second problem is that what if all youth now open shops? Who will buy?
Right.
So also now when you look at the enterprises that we are telling youth to create, actually it's next to impossible. But now when you look at the macro situation in Kenya, this was very foreseeable because the friendship with China is actually pretty problematic because of the balance between import and export. So we get money from China, a lot of money in loans and in grants, but actually that just creates market for China. So the number of jobs that are created are actually very few. Even though we have mega projects, all these things, even you get cements are being imported, everything is being imported, containers are landing. So the only jobs being created is actually just for the person clearing, the clearing agents, and I don't know how many there can be. And then the people on ground who will now put that cement where it's supposed to be put. And when you look at the gainfulness of that labor, the supervisors are from China. So the amount of money actually that goes back to China is almost everything. We will end up with a road or with a rail, but that money actually is not injected into the economy like you'd expect.
Out of 10, Mugo, how would you give us as a country in terms of how conducive this environment is for a business? Out of 10.
I would say 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Because inequality has grown. There is more money, yes, but the money is increasingly only for fewer people. So I think equity and inclusion, inclusive development is something that government has to seriously think about, and especially how to involve youth. I mean, look, now we have Charity here who has spent I don't know how many years training maybe 5, 6 years training. We have a school somewhere in East Pokot that has only one teacher.
Right.
This is a teacher who is idling.
So where are we missing? Where is that gap?
First of all, I think it's the way our labor is organized. Because first of all, when you look at the scales of the teacher from entry to the lowest paid and the highest paid teacher, that budget is actually unable to move numbers. So the way I think to go, like we welcome this internship thing by government. Why can't we have internship things for teachers? Because she has done teaching practice, which was 1 term. So why can't Charity be teaching somewhere, incentivized, rather than just sitting at home? Why can't she be paid even 5,000 per month for her to accumulate experience? Because when she goes again to a private school, let's say she has landed at Micheni, she'll be asked for experience. Yeah. Now, where will Charity get experience from? She's here at home, having studied. This school asks for experience. So there is need, I think, for innovation on how to get youth engaged, because there's a lot of energy getting to waste.
I hear you, Mugo, but at the end of the day, Dr. Awiti, you get to interact a lot with university students as a scholar. The fact that, what Mugo has just said, taking the words right out of my mouth, you finish university, you're told, here you are at 24, 25, you need 5 years of experience. Yeah. Do employers need to start changing their attitude at how they look at employability?
I think the whole system, oftentimes we blame employers, but we need to start looking at people like us and Glory here, who are in training. And what John is saying and what Chad is saying is spot on. Mm-hmm. The survey that we just conducted across the country, it says that for formal sector jobs, the two most critical things that actually now turn out as barriers to youth getting work is the employers will ask you, one, for your technical qualifications, which she has more than enough, and they're saying you still don't qualify to teach in primary school. Mm. The other one is work experience. I just finished university, and you're asking me that to qualify to take this entry-level job, I need to show you 3 years experience. That's why the conversation has to go back to universities. If that's a requirement, and it has to be based on something that is verifiable, what does 3 years experience actually help you to do better than somebody who just finished? And then as a university, we need to figure out how do we partner with industry to create those opportunities for work experience during the course of an individual's study. And that's why the government's internship program should not just target school leavers or university graduates. It should come right inside university. In fact, Professor Olive Mugenda, when she was at KU, started talking about a cooperative kind of approach which is used in Canadian universities. This is not just going to an organization such as, say, Citizen and moving trolleys around, but actually doing some work, shadowing someone like you. So when a student comes out of, say, Daystar or University of Nairobi or Multimedia or USIU, when they come here for some experience, they have something they can demonstrate. And you will be in the training program with her as a mentor. And you'll have to give her a grade, which will show up in her transcript. So we have to start structuring these conversations in ways that enable young people to get meaningful experience that is work relevant. So we can blame employers all we want, because at the end of the day, these guys are looking at their bottom line.
Right.
But we have to make sure that the people who show up in their organizations as employees or interns actually add value to attaining that bottom line.
Okay, so Glory, then a viewer at home could be sitting and asking, how easy is it for me? And more so, let's be specific. A viewer not in Nairobi could be wondering, how do I get access to information when it comes to TVET? Because that's the other thing. We could be sitting here, we're in Nairobi. We may not know exact challenges that maybe a young person, another charity in Baringo, in Turkana, in Wajir, in Mombasa could be facing. But that's the other thing, access to information.
Yeah. The good thing is that I've worked in those places you are saying back there at home. And the good thing right away is that there's a lot of publicity about TVET. And the curriculum now is being developed by the industry and the institution.
Okay.
TVET have realized the mismatch between the industry and the training. Initially, the industry was telling us, the people you have given us, they are not able to fit in the jobs immediately. It's like we are retraining them at the workplace.
Why are they not able to fit
now?
in
What?
jobs?
Because those days, the institutions were developing curriculums without involving the industry. Currently, as we are doing it, we have what we are calling TVET SIDAC. This is a body that is involving the industry right from the beginning of curriculum development, so that the industry comes in and says, for you to train, for example, if someone in the hotel industry, what does the hotel industry require from the TVET institutions? And the other program is that every student in TVET, before you leave the institution, you must go for an industrial attachment. That is a must. At least a minimum of 3 months, so that when you go out there, you have an experience on the real work. Most of the times, actually, the graduates get jobs in the places where they were attached, because already they have seen what they are able to do. The industry has helped to implement what the institution had not done earlier in their training, and that is what even my colleague here is saying, that we should involve the industry. From the word go, from the curriculum development to the implementation, because who are we training for? We are training for the industry. The teachers go for teaching practice. But the problem here is that the economy is not able to absorb everybody. But the question is, are we able even to give them that experience we are talking about? Actually, I'm looking forward to this internship, because I'm asking, how many will get that ability, or how many will be employed or get the internship in the industry?
Right.
Because actually, we are asking for experience. And the question is, where have you gotten the experience from? And there is no employment. So the thing is that if we involve the industry from the one go, and there should be policies in this country, whereby, for example, if you are a new person from outside the country and you're coming to set up a business in this country, you should take a number of our youth to be employed in your place. Some countries, I'm sure they have such policies. Even the SGR, you realized,
our neighbor,
our people are complaining, who is working in these places, who is offering the skills. Have you even tried to pick the TVET trainees and tell them to come have internship in this project? How many? What percentage? Who comes up with such a policy?
How successful, or should I say the rollout of TVET trainees who get jobs? Immediately after they finished the training, how soon does it take for them to get employment?
Actually, for TVET, less than 6 months. Not that you'll get maybe the actual job that you wanted, but you are able to fit somewhere to do something. What I've also realized is that the institutions, we are also offering internship to our own trainees, whereby, for example, if you have finished a program, let's even in IT, and you need a technician in the institution, we are getting them back to do it. But how many can the institution absorb? Very few.
Right.
That's why we're really looking forward to an economy which can absorb more youth. Because like you are saying, yes, as we are sitting and we have jobs, like he said, and we are telling them to start a job. But the thing is that once we have skills, I like what my daughter here said. She did education. But what is she doing? MCing. Why? She did radio in the college. We are really advising our young people, don't be focused on one line. Be someone who can fit in any area.
Right.
So that at least even the positive attitude that I can do something as I get my profession job. Yes.
Charity, the MCing that you're doing, it's out of necessity. You need it to sort of keep yourself busy, maybe get a few coins here and there. If you were employed, will there be any need for you to get a side hustle?
Personally, most of the MC gigs I do are out of passion, because most of them are not paying.
They still don't. So even your side hustle still do not pay.
Yeah, but I enjoy doing the MCing and being busy. So I would still do them, because it's like something you can do and you feel like it's natural. Yeah, but I would like to comment on something that they were saying.
Yes.
I feel like the current market is a bit rigid in the sense that I feel like employers are missing out a lot by putting on these guidelines of 5 years experience and 2 testimonials or 3, because like those are the things that I'm coming across while applying, because I've been applying. That's like when you talk to someone, you tell them I'm unemployed, like, they're always telling you, continue applying. Me, I applied like 30 times, 50 times. So it's something you do. But when you come down on the ground, when you're applying, they're asking you for 2 testimonials, surely. They're asking you for
the requirements.
Like a 3 months pay slip. Sorry,
go ahead.
3 months pay slip of the job you are doing, of which you are unemployed. So the requirements that you're asking for are a bit, they are making them lose out on skills. Like personally for me, I feel like young people would be the best employees, because we have the passion. I'm speaking for each and every young person, we would put in the time because we want to learn more and gain the experience. But now if they're asking for people who are like 5 years experience, 10 years experience, it makes me feel like, okay, even if I apply, there are people out there who are still, because even there are people who are older and they're still unemployed. So it's, you know, that feeling, yes, you're confident, maybe I'll get it, but you still know the reality. Okay, there are people who have this experience. So me, I'd ask employers, like any employer that is out there, you are missing out on really good manpower, that is us, the young people.
Yes. So Muko, how do employers balance what Charity is saying? Yes, getting young people to work for them at a proper salary, because that's another conversation in its own. But at the same time, as an employer, I need to make my profit margins. How do I balance that?
Yeah, I think since it's a crisis also that employers are in. Because to be honest, many employers are saying, and this is what Dr. Awiti's study has shown, that the youth coming to the job actually are lacking critical skills that they need. Things like communicating. I don't know how many youth can communicate the way Charity is communicating. Many the attitude to work. Yeah, she's an MC. So they are looking for collaboration skills. They are looking for values like integrity and so on. So what you find now, the frustration of employers now, I speak for them, is that they have paid tax to government to train youth. Then when these trainees now come to the job market, you again have to invest 1 year worth of another training for them now to get the real skills that are required in the job market.
Right.
So I think to challenge Glory and the TVET training, it is good to check even this new curricula by CEDAC. Have these curricula included the not just the technical, because a person working in a hotel, if it's a chef, can cook, yes, but do they have financial skills? Do they have customer relation skills? Do they have teamwork? Because when you're in the kitchen, you're working with so many other people. Are we paying attention? Because employers are saying they're frustrated that youth come with technical skills, but they lack all these other range of skills now that a holistic developed person requires. So I don't know how this crisis is going to be resolved, but the collaboration, as Alex said, between training and industry, and this has been emphasized by Glory, is very critical, that we are not taking Charity, lock her somewhere, called Kenyatta University for 4 years, then she comes out and now starts figuring out where to start from. But Kenyatta University ought to, now I think that one term, even for teacher training, I am a teacher trainer myself, that one term of teaching practice is actually not now what is required. A teacher needs now to be developed in a school environment from the onset. The world is changing now so fast, so if you close somebody for 4 years, by the time they are coming out, what they left while they were in school themselves has changed, and the demands now are different. So this collaboration between industry and the training space, and actually knocking the walls between training and working,
right,
is a way to go.
Let me give Glory a right of response before we take a commercial break. Glory, what Muko has said, the feedback he's just given you, that apart from just training them in terms of skills, they need to be trained on this other side of the skills, the more emotional, softer skills, teamwork, the people skills, emotional skills. What's your response to that?
Fully agreed. In TVET, we are putting all that in place. Because for sure, if you are going to work in an industry, you need to work with everybody. Maybe you're working on one aspect, somebody else is working on another aspect. You need to learn communication skills. What I've realized with our young people is attitude. There is that attitude, you want to go at the start at a very high level. So we are bringing in the idea of training them on change of attitude, that you are supposed to learn communication skills, you are supposed to learn teamwork, and the only way we can do that is implementing it in the institution. He has brought in the aspect that you can not only teach something, you must practice it.
Right.
And what we are doing, that's why I'm saying that even collaborating with the industry is so that once you go out there in the industry, you find the real job. If, for example, you're in the hotel, you serve a real customer. If you don't know how to communicate, the customer will get mad with you. And at least in the process, within those 5 months, you have realized My teachers told me to communicate well, to be polite, to say thank you, but I never said it, and a customer is mad with me. And even the supervisor in the industry will tell you that is not right. So I agree with them fully. Skills are not enough. We need to give the soft skills. And I've realized as a trainer, I've trained for the last 20 years, there is a lot of people who only come to in the college, they think they only need the skill. And just get out there. That's what we're telling you. No, you need the entrepreneurial skills. You need to know how to communicate. You need teamwork, because you can't work alone in this world. You need the right attitude as you go out there. Actually, we say you'd rather have the right attitude without a skill like a trade. But with the wrong attitude, no matter how much skills you have, you're not fit in any sector.
Dr. Witi, as a university scholar, how important are those soft skills? And even in universities, are they paying attention to those skills that even as a journalist, you're not teaching me how to use a camera, how to go about interviewing, but you're also teaching me people skills which could actually help me when I'm searching for a job.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, you know, and this has now been shown by neurobiology, and especially in roles such as leadership, but also in team-oriented tasks. Socio-emotional skills are extremely important. Self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, the things we've been talking about here. You know, for instance, even in your job, you know, you need to have insight and attention at the deepest level to understand interpersonal communications.
Right.
Just how to communicate with your superiors, communicate with your juniors, and communicate with your peers. And these are the dynamics that are now most critical in workspaces. And as Gloria said, it is more than technical skills. If you come with the right attitude, with the right social-emotional orientation, we can train the rest. And here's a very interesting example of a quote that I was given by one of my teachers, that everything we teach you, there's two parts to it. 50% is wrong, 50% is irrelevant. So go and figure out. By the time you show up at the workplace, you're 50% of relevant content and 50% of what you're taught is wrong. So what that does mean? What it means is that how do you train people with an attitude to learn and keep on learning, but also to have the right attitudes to be able to perform in team-based environments.
My goodness. Tackling youth unemployment, that's a conversation we're having here in studio. Let's take a look at your SMSs on both Twitter at Citizen TV Kenya and also on our SMS line 22422. Let's see what you've been saying. Let's begin with Twitter. Ahmed, good morning. You say youth unemployment should be declared a national emergency because it is just that, forcing young Kenyans to live their lives as a daily emergency. Every day is a gamble, yet they're expected to be entrepreneurs themselves out of poverty with no supportive structures in place. Use the hashtag Daybreak just like him. Steve Juma, good morning. You say the government should stop recycling political retirees. Yes, we'll be talking about that in just a little bit. Optimists for life is what you call yourself on Twitter. You say there are no jobs. Let the government subsidize the youth for entrepreneurship programs. The unemployed youth should even be exempted from tax until they have successfully established their businesses. Still sticking on Twitter, Ja, you say if it will be possible if every man becomes president and his wife deputy president, and we appoint our own kids as cabinet secretaries, but as things stand, Wazee will be current leaders and youth will be future leader. Future never comes in Kenya. That's true. Shonko Andrew is what you call yourself. You say the question is our institutions concerned with the quality of graduates they produce, or is it only money? Is the market need analysis being done properly before designing a program? Also, can TVET quantify the impact it has done in the employment sector? All right, we'll get Glory to answer that question in just a little bit. Joy, good morning. You say, sad reality is that even with good academic qualifications, true, getting a job as a youth in Kenya is a nightmare. Everyone talks of self-employment, which ain't a viable option for everyone. A majority of the youth are falling into depression. Maingi, you say youth unemployment is a ticking time bomb. The earlier it's addressed, the better. But how do we expect the struggling economy, true, to create job opportunities? Companies downsizing and restructuring are good indications. Just BT on Twitter, good morning. You say by 2030, Kenya's population will be approximately 67 million by the Per Population Review. This means that the demand for better healthcare, infrastructure, and so forth will expand. Unemployed youth means that Kenya is creating poverty with no tax revenues, won't afford to fund these needs. Those development needs is what you're talking about, even as unemployment increases. Wainaina 56, you say irrespective of the fact that providing working solutions to youth unemployment has failed, not only in Kenya but internationally, new practical solutions can't be jetted. Corruption and nepotism has propagated an equal job allocation to the rich old folks. I am told our feedback is just too many. Literally, I've just been told that. So we need to take a commercial break. We'll save those other feedback for after this commercial break. Very insightful, right? We'll be right back.